This content is based on a telepathic communication between the ninth density collective of Ra and their conduit, Jo. Welcome to the Book of Ashtara. Have you ever wondered if we, the ninth density collective of Ra, enjoy stories? We do, but as builders of the Matrix and coders of the hologram, our humor tends to be on the dry side. We might joke about corrupt cosmic code, but we are certainly no stand-up comedians or scriptwriters. However, the Arcturian species serves as our direct link to the semi-physical realms, and we often borrow stories and dreams from them. This chapter is about peace, and we will deliver our message by telling a popular story that Arcturian parents sometimes tell their children. It's story time, folks. We find ourselves in a dark space during the early stages of expansion. Our universe called Eon was merely a thought, a potential yet to be manifested. This is the moment just before the cosmic show begins. Breathe in the peace and remember this moment, because things are about to change. Time was not yet invented, and emotions were quite black and white, just like in the movies. The two particles engage in a primordial dance, skillfully avoiding physical contact. This quantum ballet would persist indefinitely if it weren't for the law of attraction. As humans might well understand, dancing to the same tune for eternity started to feel a bit boring. Discontent began to form in the space between the particles, mostly due to confusing feelings of separation and forced individuality. What would oneness feel like? The two particles secretly pondered. Imagine becoming one with the other, somehow merging, sharing the same membrane, and moving together inside a shared core. That would be so much nicer than being alone. For the individual particles, the drive towards interaction intensifies, evolving into an obsessive longing for physical contact. The Matrix therefore introduces an external force, compelling particle A to collide with particle B at a very high speed. This collision occurs because they wished for it. Mind over matter is true on all levels. Though desired, the outcome is highly eruptive and unexpected. The particles meet and embrace each other in a violent outburst of energy that completely alters their reality. In this primordial explosion, the four elements are born: fire, earth, air, and water. When the dust settles, eons later, the poetic ballet stage has been replaced by several structures, each resembling chessboards. The Matrix has introduced a cosmic game, adorned with kings, queens, bishops, rooks, knights, and pawns. Thus, the silent ballet of the two particles in love undergoes a metamorphosis, giving birth to a dynamic hologram. The scenography is imaginative, the props convincingly real, the players are dressed in colorful costumes, and much interaction takes place, resulting in constant drama. The figurines on the board are in constant interaction. All the beauty and madness produced within the game originated from the simple wish of two particles to connect. Much change on the chessboard is violent and unexpected, and it cannot be stopped within the limitations of amnesia. I almost forgot to mention the particles no longer remember their origin. They have no recollection of Ra, and the love emanating from source energy is fading. This game of chess continues until the players tire of their predicament and actually understand that they alone control their destiny. The energy of peace will eventually be reintroduced, not as a utopia, but as a tangible solution to suffering. But for that to happen, someone needs to be the first one to tune into their heart space and start remembering. Remember what? The Arcturian child asks. They need to remember that they are light, the mother answers. The child nods and thinks, how can anyone forget that they are light? The first one to stop and contemplate reality is one of the pawns belonging to the black team. He looks at the remaining pawns, his friends who are still alive, and says, I don't like this game any longer. I had a dream that I was a king before, as if I lived in another time and place. That life was filled with power, and I controlled the whole world. The strange thing is, it wasn't fun. Can you believe that? The other pawn answers with a story. I had a similar dream. I think I was a bishop. I vividly remember the power I had. What did you do? The first pawn asks. I destroyed everyone, was his answer. What? Did you destroy your own tribe? A third pawn asked. Yes, I sacrificed the king and betrayed my friends. I did it all for money, for status, for land, for fame. The pawn explained and added, I wasn't happy but suffered enormously from guilt. I died lonely but very rich. The Arcturian child looks at his parent and asks, That reminds me so much of humans on Earth. The Arcturian mother answers, Yes, but the same thing happens on so many other planets we've visited. She continues, You remember Ka, Epsilon, and Neon? Well, never mind, all these planets are merely schools. The third density is just a game, and suffering is an illusion. If they only knew. On the chessboard, the black pawns decide to lay down their arms. One by one, pieces across the board stop moving and the entire game comes to a halt. Everybody stares at the revolting pawns with a mix of astonishment, disappointment, and anger in their eyes. Revolution always starts from the grassroots up. Discontent is born at the bottom and grows to disobedience. Most of the time revolutions are quelled, but this time something profound happens on the chessboard. One by one, the pawns start glowing. They become more light and less matter, appearing as angels with wings, emanating peace and tranquility. The Black King orders the knights to attack his own pawns and punish the troublemakers. But the black horses refuse to move, and the knights lower their swords. By doing so, they too start glowing. The knights turn to the king, screaming, "No more of this madness." A blinding strong white light envelops the pawns and knights. They disappear into the light, leaving all remaining players absolutely shocked. The rooks are ordered to protect the king from the threatening light. However, they too refuse his order. "Something needs to change," the rooks talk among themselves. "We've had enough of this game." As that thought is spoken for all players to hear, the rooks simply disappear in an explosion of white light. "Where did they go?" the king asks the queen. The queen doesn't know and asks the bishop, "Where did they go? Do something." The bishop looks at the queen, then at the king, declaring, "They must have seen the light." "What does that mean?" the king asks. "They ascended," the bishop answers. "So, Ascension is real then after all," the king whispers. "We are nothing but pawns in a silly game, are we not?" In that moment, the king, the queen, and the bishop start glowing and disappear from the chessboard in an explosion of light. On the other side of the chessboard, the white team declares victory. "How did we win? What really happened here?" the victorious White King asks his bishop. "Divine intervention," the bishop answered. "God wills you to rule the world. Follow him, and victorious you shall always be." The white team raises a toast to their good fortune and godly protection. The Arcturian child is ready to fall asleep, softly mumbles, "I hope the humans on Earth will wake up soon." The mother answers, "They will, and they are. Now sleep." It all ended well for the players. One team started glowing and followed the light into the next realm, the semi-physical fifth. The other team declared victory and remained in the third density for another ascension cycle of 26,000 years of continuous drama on the old chessboard. Let's examine the current game being played on third density Earth. Many humans lack perspective since previous lives aren't easy to recollect. However, we, the ninth density collective of Ram, can assure you that the game hasn't changed that much. Today, you have modern gadgets and tools which are signs of a new era, and you have reached a higher level of consciousness too. In other words, humans are more aware today than they were before. But the biggest realization of all has yet to hit home. You are source energy in human bodies. You are light. And this profound understanding will change life on the planet forever. You are players in a cosmic game and are starting to remember this truth. When you wake up, this madness ends. Does waking up really change reality, you might wonder? It absolutely will. If you truly knew that you are source energy in human avatars, that the light is not outside but within you, then the game ends. When you also realize that all animals and plants are made of the same light, meaning your light is all there is, Ascension becomes immediate. You would never relinquish your power to anybody but live strong lives of connectedness and authenticity. You would hurt no one. There would be only oneness and unity within a planetary community. While this wouldn't mean the end of wars in the universe, peace among humans on Earth would be inevitable. You would overwhelmingly choose service to others. Oneness is clearly not the most common feeling among humans. Why is nothing happening if millions of people are already awake and aware of being fractals of source energy? The most likely reason is fear. You are scared of rejection, of change, or of being forced to live a lonely life since nobody would understand you. You haven't yet found people of like mind and come together as a tribe. There is a tipping point that has yet to be crossed. If you accept that you are source energy, then you have introduced the power of peace into your life. Then there is nothing stopping you from choosing unity consciousness and walking away from the third density. This is the tipping point you are waiting for. You need to take the first step by your own free will. Only once you have made this decision, open contact with your galactic family is possible. As you grow in awareness and wisdom, you reach the threshold between the physical and semi-physical realms. You open the door to the fifth realm, and New Earth is yours. What needs to be introduced now in human societies is the energy of peace, allowing divine neutrality to fill every heart around the world. The chess game is still on. You are inhabiting avatars and acting as kings, queens, knights and pawns in a cosmic movie theater. However, do you really need these distractions any longer? Why not undress as you stand on the chessboard? Let the old costumes go, the attributes of separation. You've experienced chaos and extreme contrast for a long time. Now, look at yourself in the mirror. Do you notice the glow in your eyes? Isn't there a new sense of brightness to your aura? Can you see it? We can clearly see it. You are so close now. Arise, Homo Luminous. New Lemuria is near. Until next video, breathe out all your worries. Then breathe in a brighter future for mankind.